youngest auxiliary, although I cannot say youngest because I'm not young, but we were the most recently formed auxiliary. And when Liz was talking about those members that just receive emails, I'm kind of a follow-away member at the moment, and I am inactive in receiving the emails, but hopefully that will change in the near future. I definitely want to thank Janet for your vision, your leadership, and helping us all evaluate these Christ Child traditions and kind of paving the way for our future for a lot of us. And Liz, your involvement with the respective auxiliaries and doing a kind of a deep dive on missions and making sure that that they do flourish and are reinvigorated as we all take a step forward. In 2006, so 16 years ago, Julie Hockney and I were both approached by the then board president at the time and some members of the Ses Enfants Auxiliary to form a new auxiliary. Conditions were right for the organization to get some kind of fresh faces in. There was some board evaluation of the direction of Christ Child here in Omaha and what it was going to look and feel like, and there was a need to kind of add some fresh faces to the group. So, although Julie and I are both third generation Christ Child women, and we were certainly familiar with Christ Child, we had no clue what an auxiliary was and how we were going to form it. So what we decided, we put our heads together. I think we were 8 and 9 months pregnant at the time, but we decided we were going to get the women together first, form the group, and then the mission would follow. So we split up and we called 28 people. We told them we were forming a group, and 28 people said yes. Wow. And between the two of us, we decided that we had to cap our membership at 30 because between the two of us, that was as many wine glasses and folding chairs that we could come up with, and that was as many people that we could accommodate in our homes at the time. So there are many of you in this room that said yes to that initial phone call, and that first meeting came, the first monthly meeting arrived, and 30 people showed up, believe it or not. So we kind of self-nominated ourselves as president and vice president respectively, and presented the slate to the group, and we all voted on the name. We came up with Les Anges, as you can see on Liz's list here. They're all French names. We can kind of get into that a little bit more, but it means his angels. And we threw around all sorts of ideas, but that was the one we ultimately settled on. We felt like for our first year, we were going to kind of maybe get our feet wet with the organization and kind of trying to figure out what our mission was going to be, our focus was going to be. But we knew since a lot of us were young mothers that the LAYAT program was kind of a natural fit. And we also kind of felt like a lot of the LAYAT contents at that time were pretty dated, and perhaps some of our input would be helpful in kind of enhancing that product and the service that was being offered. We also made a commitment that we were going to try and attend every single Christ Child party and fundraiser that all the other auxiliaries had that year. And I will tell you that we all learned very quickly that Christ Child women know how to throw really fun parties. So we were great supporters of the Wine and Wishes, the soiree, the LAYAT luncheon, all the different events, and had a great time. It was a good way for us to kind of see what each organization was doing, what although it changed year after year, to see what their service projects were and what they were raising money for. It was a great way to educate ourselves. In addition, okay, so then we learned about all these events, and we were like, okay, we need to have a fundraiser. So we decided that we were going to have an annual tailgate fundraiser. So that first year, we had a little fall tailgate party. They were always held in the bar. We served hot dogs that we made ourselves. There was no overhead cost, and it was just a kind of a free will cash donation. That first year we made, I think, $2,000, which we were, in hindsight, I thought this is so insignificant, but it was huge. We had all come together, we raised this money, and we were gonna put it towards the LAYAT program. One of the things about the LAYAT at the time is they were being distributed in these kind of like grocery bags or drawstring plastic bags. And Meg Schlottman, the genius in the room, came up with the idea of the diaper bag. It was actually a tote bag that we had our logo printed on, and that was what our money went towards. And we thought, this is just brilliant. These women can, show off the Christ Child logo. It was a way for them to have a diaper bag and to hold all the content. So I love seeing that it's modified, but it's still being used, the whole concept. And thank you for that great idea, Meg. In addition to our annual fall fundraiser, we always had, you know, I think as Janet talked about, a lot of the Christmas traditions and things like that, we always had a big social, fundraising party with our auxiliary. And this was, I mean, Liz and I were just talking recently about just some of our greatest memories. My husband and I look back on those Christmas parties and we had so much fun. Julie and I were able to really pull together like a very diverse group of women. I don't know how we did it, but it was just women from all over the city, different ages. People weren't really established in parishes. It wasn't cliquey at all. It was just kind of a fresh group of people. And I think anybody that was at those parties back then will probably remember that our husbands often had a much better time than we did. But they were great. They continued on for quite some time, and a lot of great memories. Again, it changed year after year. It's wonderful to see that Les Anges is still thriving. It seems that it's in very capable hands. I love what you're doing with the car seats and continuing to support the layout assemblies and the distribution, and I think there are great things to come. And in looking through the different auxiliaries, I just hope that everybody can find a group that works for them. And I just want you to know that like the experiences that our group had, the people that my husband and I met have really been lifelong friends. We were doing these service projects, but we didn't even know it. I mean, the takeaway was so great, and I appreciate everybody coming here tonight, and I think there's great hope for the future of Christ Child and the organization here. So if you have any questions about starting an auxiliary, I'd be happy to help, but I will tell you that there was not much to it. I think you just get the group together and then you run with it. So thank you.
Awesome. Emily, thank you.